Okay, so after reloading the project, so apparently ProBuilder decides, sure, why not? Let's work now. So it is back on here, so that's pretty cool. Okay, so let's we're back into our project here. So we've got this first scene that we're going right here. It's kind of it's not bad. There's one thing I want to show you before we get too far away, and that is the the particle effects. So the particle effects can be used for all kinds of things like sparks and lightning and snow and rain and fireworks and all kinds of things. So I'm going to show you here quick how to create one of them and some of the adjustments that you can make here. So let me go ahead and swap over here real quick, and we're going to go here to create, and I am going to go to effects. So effects here, and then we're going to do particle system. So that's going to drop in a particle system, and hey, look, it's running already. So a particle system is basically something that will create all these little things happening. So let me go ahead and turn around here, and we're going to look at what it does. So this is kind of a particle fountain. It's not doing much. Each one of those is an object that it's creating, which is kind of cool. And you'll notice over here in the inspector, it's got a lot of extra stuff that it can do. So each one of these little things here is actually another menu inside of it. So we can do some really cool things. So what I'm going to do first is we're going to go in here and we're going to change how much is coming out. So I'm going to go here to emission, click on that. All right. And you'll notice it says rate over time. So that means this is set to 10. What this means is there will be 10 particles created every second. All right. And then if we look up here, you'll notice it says duration. This is how long they stay in existence. So 5 seconds from being created, they go up there to die. All right. And what's really cool is I can change this rate over time. So I could type this in if I wanted to, or I could put my cursor in here as it changes. I can drag select this if I wanted to. About 100 particles a second here. All right, so that is like 500 particles, right? Cool. All right, so one of the things I want to do is I'm going to keep pushing this up, though. I'm going to go for closer to 200, actually over 200. And you'll notice here, once I hit over 200 particles a second, I have this like gap in between. That is because in this particle system, there are a maximum of 1,000 particles. So this thing is currently creating 235.54 particles a second. So that ends up being more than the maximum of 1,000 particles that this thing is currently set to. So yeah, that's not good. So we could do two things. Firstly, we can take down the number of particles we have. So I could go here and change this from 231 to like 200. That would work. And it would not stop. Or I could do something like here 300, for example. And I could go, actually make it 400. Let's make it 400. So that would require 2,000 particles instead. So what I could do is go over here and change this value from 1,000 to 2,000. All right, and now it'll stop doing that. So now it has 2,000 particles. Here's the problem, though. The more particles you put in, the slower your game will run. So just keep that in mind. And of course, we're kind of running this real time in here, so that's pretty cool. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, I'm going to push it up here, and I'm going to rotate it around. I'm going to flip it pretty close to 180 degrees. Let's see if I can do this right. Close. No. There we go. So it's pointing right, it's pointing mostly down right now. It's not perfect, but actually I'm going to go up here to rotation. And let's see, 180. Nope. So let's try this. 90. Very good. We're going to set this to 0 and that to 0 because we don't want it to rotate at all. All right. So right now it's pointing down and it's actually in a cone shape. So that's okay if you're doing a cone shape, but I don't want a cone shape. Now it's kind of like a shower, right? So I want to change this. And you notice here it says shape. I'm going to click that and that's going to open it up. It says shape cone. Well, okay, fine. I'm going to change this to a box. So now it's like this pouring down thing. You can change it to whatever you want. You can have it emit from the volume or the shell or the edges if you want. It's up to you. But what's really cool is we can go in here and we can edit this. So I'm going to kind of get up here a little bit higher. And you will notice as I get closer, there are these dots along the edge. And what that means is I can take this and I can drag this out. I can make this emitter to be bigger. Now we got a shower curtain. Not to be confused with a shower curtain, right? Oops. Let's see if I can get this. You got to kind of grab it just right. Otherwise it's not going to work right. Oh, don't be stupid. I might need to go a little closer. There it is. There we go. So you can make it emit how you want it to. Now we don't want a Florida rain shower where it's like raining on one half of the road and not the other, but there we go. So we're going to cover the whole thing there. All right, so we've got that. I can pushing that up. I'm going to push this up a little bit here. One thing you're going to notice though is that it's going through the ground, right? So right now it's not affecting anything. We've seen games that do this sort of thing, and it looks kind of cheesy, especially when you have like rain inside. So you'll notice that some of it is actually going through the table there, right? That's not good. So let's fix this. So I am going to tell it that I want it to react. I want it to kind of listen to collisions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down here and I'm going to find collision. You notice there's no checkbox there. It's because it's disabled. So I'm going to check this checkbox, right? I'm going to leave that playing for now. So I'm going to leave that checked, and I'm going to click on it so I can go in and edit it. So right now it says type plane. So it's going to look for any planes that are in this list. Right now there are none. So if you wanted to stop for certain things, you can do that. You can create a list. I personally want it to stop when it hits anything. All right, so what I'm going to do is change it from planes to world. All right, so it's stopping. Yes, technically, right? So I've hit play on here. You can actually see what it's doing. It will start falling, but then it bounces, right? You're like, that's not what I want. So we're going to do some things. First of all, we're going to turn off bounce. So we're going to set bounce to 0. All right. And I'm going to set dampen to 1 because I want it to stop completely. So yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and hit play on this and see what it does. Hey, look, it's stopping. And you can actually run into the particles too. Cool. They're piling up. Now, unfortunately, we can't cause it... Well, right now, we can't cause it to build snow up or anything like that. But if you were clever, you could possibly figure that out. You know, maybe modify something else later on that you're going to see. But it's going to require some code, so that's not something we're going to work on now. So we can do things like we can add noise to it. So noise is so it just doesn't fall straight down. So watch this. So we're going to hit play on this. And now it's kind of got this little flutter to it, I guess. And you can mess with the noise on that. And we can do other things like we can change the color over lifetime. We can set speeds, and we can even change the color of the snow right here. So now it's from, red snow or white snow to yellow snow. Anybody? Looks like someone needs to drink some more water. So yeah, you could set it any color that you want it, and you can have it change colors, and you can have it do all kinds of really cool things here. Now, see, I'm in play mode. If I hit play again, I turn it off and restart it. Hey, our settings are back to the way they were. So again, things we can do, we can test and play with it and see how that works. One of the things that you're noticing probably is that when I hit play, it doesn't immediately start snowing. That's because it has to simulate the snow all the way down. Now, we could fix that, but it's going to be kind of a weird way to think about it. So to make our snow right away, we actually have to pre-warm our snow. Yeah. So right here, third option down is pre-warm. Check that. And if we hit play, see, it's already falling. Isn't that beautiful? All right. So we've done that. Cool. Got some particles going on there. That's pretty cool. All right, so we've got that. I'm going to save this because... actually, no, I'm not going to save it because we don't need to keep the particle system there. So what I do want to do is I want to create a new scene, though. And we're going to create something new here. Okay, so we have been messing around with this flat plane, right? So the flat plane is kind of boring, and it's just not a real world kind of thing. So what I'm going to show you is one of the built-in features of Unity. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here to Create, and I'm going to 3D Object, and then I go down here to Terrain. All right, so Terrain looks like it just created this giant plane, right? It's huge, right? So we got this giant plane, and you're like, so what's so special about this? Well, let me show you over here under the inspector. So the inspector allows us to change some settings. So one of them is this button right here. It says Erase Lower Terrain. I'm going to grab this kind of soft one here, and maybe I'll up the brush size a little bit. So I can sit here and draw terrain. So I can kind of paint the surface, right? And just so you know, we're actually pretty far away. So, yeah, that's pretty cool so far. And one of the things you're going to notice is that your computer's fans are going to start getting faster and faster right now. And you'll notice that down at the bottom that there is this kind of progress bar. So what's happening right now is as we paint this, it's going back and calculating shadows. So shadows are something that's just not something natural in computer hardware. It actually has to be extra work done to do that. So what it's doing right now, it's generating the shadows, things that are always going to pretty much be in shadow for our project here. So it's doing that, and it's kind of jittering a map of it all to make it work better. And every time we make a change, it has to go back and redo it because, well, some shadows will affect other things here. So you can probably hear it in the video that the fans are running harder on my machine for that. So your machine will get pretty hot while doing this. So if you're sensitive to heat, really easily sensitive to heat, maybe this is not the time to have it on your lap, or touch the kind of the top above your function keys slash little display on the bottom. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, we can draw up by just painting here. If we hold down Shift, it'll allow us to lower it to a point, to actually the original starting point. Unfortunately, we can't go any lower than that. But let's say we want to paint down. Well, we can fix that. And the way we do that is we're actually going to push everything up a little bit. So the next button here is what is called paint height. All right, so we could go in here and set a value, say 100, and we could, go through here and paint. If I keep painting up, it'll get to a point and it'll plateau out, right? I could do that, and this might be useful for some things, and we could go through and if we wanted to keep something, but I don't care at this point. So I'm going to get rid of everything anyways. So actually I'm going to reduce this down to like maybe 75 or something close to that. 74 is cool here. So when I paint height, it's going to bring things down now. Yeah, I could sit there and scribble on the whole thing like I did the grass in Maya, but forget that. There's a button over here labeled flatten. So I'm going to click that, and it's going to set everything to that height. So it's going to erase everything that's there, and it's going to set that height. Cool. What that means is actually I can go in now, and I can go back to the raise lower terrain, and I can hold down Shift, and I can paint down. Cool. So I'm going to sit here. I'm going to kind of back off a little bit. So I'm going to create the Mariner's Trench. Not to be confused to the real, wrong way. Not to be confused to the one in the Pacific Ocean. This one is part of the Spaghetti Islands. So I can paint that down a little bit there. In the Pasta Kingdom, no less. Alright, so I've painted that down, and now I'm going to bring this up here. Alright, so I'm going to raise some stuff here. So I could just do it like this. There are different tools that I can use. I can paint up with this, make it hard edges. Some of these are really strange that you can do some totally weird kind of surfaces. And that's cool. And the star really kind of blows my mind because it does some really cool like mountainous range stuff. So I'm going to kind of make this a little bit fuzzier down here. So I'm going to raise this up a little bit, get a little closer. Those are pretty jagged, aren't they? Actually, I'm going to go here, and I'm going to smooth these out because this is yeah, that's, I don't want Nightmare Island or something like that. So I'm going to kind of push this down quite a bit there. Okay, so we've done that. Let's say I want to find a height here. So I'm going to go here to the paint height button. And I want to choose a height. So what I can do is I can actually hold down Shift, and I can click on basically the height that I want. So let's say this height right here. So I've clicked on it while holding Shift, and now I can paint that specific height. I can paint it out. Alright, so one of the things I want to point out here though is you'll notice it's doing that pretty much immediately. I kind of like paint it and it's like, whoa, hey, we're done, like that. See, what if I want it to be smoother? If I want it to kind of bring it up slower? Well, this is kind of a setting on all of these here. It's the opacity setting. So if we reduce this opacity setting down, it will draw it slower. It'll raise our stuff a lot slower, so we can have some kind of nice, you know, things that are not quite so harsh. So I can kind of paint out here a little bit to get some stuff going on here. All right. Also, one of the things I want to point out here is if you get kind of close here, you're going to notice that we kind of got some jaggies. It's kind of hard to see. But if I put my cursor over, you know, it's kind of some jaggies right there. That's just, you know, because how we painted it. We can fix those by going in here and choosing the smooth height tool, and if I paint that over, it's kind of get rid of those jaggies for us. Kind of smooth that out, and if we wanted to, we can smooth out our mountains and all that stuff too. So I'm going to go here and fix these, make that a little bit smoother. Alright, so I might even kind of lower some of this stuff here just so it's not quite such a harsh edge. And right here, right in the center, right there, I'm going to push this down a little bit. You don't have to do this exactly. I'm just showing you that some things that you can do. So I'm going to push that down just a little bit. Okay, so we've got that. It looks pretty cool. Let's go ahead and bring in Ethan here real quick. So I'm going to bring in Ethan here real quick. Now, we don't have to re-import Ethan because he's already here. It's under standard assets again. Let's see, go to characters, excuse me, third person, prefabs, and drag Ethan in here real quick. Look, he's pretty small, isn't he? So yeah, I've done that. Third person, I'm going to go back to standard assets. I'm going to bring in a camera. Prefabs, I'm going to bring in the multi-purpose camera rig in again as well. Alright, so I've got that. I need to go back to Ethan here, the third person controller, and tag him as player. Alright, so don't tag anything but what you want the camera to watch as player. Alright, so I'm going to hit play on here. And you'll notice that, hey, we've got this weird scene. You're like, what is that? That means we have multiple cameras going. And the main camera, the one that's there by default, is the first one that pops up. So it's going to use that camera. Well, we need to turn off the main camera or get rid of it. So I'm going to just get rid of it here. So I'm going to right click and choose delete because we don't need it anymore because we already have a camera. So I'm going to hit play on this again. And there we have Ethan. Cool. We're going to run around on this kind of surface that we created here. So we can run around and, you know, explore stuff. But this kind of looks like a snowy world, isn't it? Yeah. I'm sure some of you guys are either tired of winter or want it. I don't know what time you're watching this, but yeah. It's there, but we want to, let's add something that'll make it look more interesting. So, I'm kind of going for the, how should I put it? The theme of an island, like an island, a tropical island. So what I want to do is I want to go back here and click on the terrain, and I want to add textures to this. Now, adding textures for terrain is different than adding textures on anything else because, well, a lot of times we're going to do more with these textures. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this fourth icon here, the Paint Textures button here. And what this allows me to do is add textures. So let's go ahead and work through that. All right, so I'm going to go, actually first before we get into that, let's go ahead and import some more textures. So we've got some grass there, that's cool. I'm going to go back here to my assets here. I'm going to bring this grassy sand kind of thing in here. Maybe some mountain rock. All right, and this sand texture, this is kind of like beach sand. All right, and then I'm going to bring in this desert sand as well, because desert sand actually looks a lot like, you know, underwater sand as well. So, all right, so I've got those in here, and we're going to go ahead and here and choose edit textures. All right, so we're going to go back here and hit edit textures. We're going to hit add texture because we don't have any textures in here right now. All right, and what that's going to do is it's going to bring up our add textures window. All right, and the first texture is important because what it does is it applies that texture to everything. All right, everything gets that texture. So what you want to do is you want to put down the texture that's you're going to use the most of. So you don't have to go and paint everything. All right, so what we want to do is we need to bring in our texture into this. All right, so you're going to see two things here. This is the one you want to use, the albedo one here. All right, don't mess with the normal one because that's for normals, and that's a little bit farther we want to talk about. So we want albedo here. So we could either hit select or we could go here and drag it in into our list here. All right. So other things that we're going to do is we're going to reduce this, number down. I'm going to change it to 3 by 3. Otherwise, it'll look wrong. So I'm going to hit add on here, and what you'll notice is it will fill it in immediately. Yes, I got other duplicates. This probably isn't the best texture for this, but it's still better than nothing. So if I hit play on this, I can walk around. All right, so you can kind of see off there. Okay, so I've got that. All right, so let's add some more texture. So I'm going to here edit texture, add texture, and this one I'm going to bring in for, kind of beach sand. All right, so I'm going to hit add on. Actually, before I hit add on that, again, I'm going to set this one to 3. So this is how often it repeats. All right, so I've added that in. Now, if I want to use this, new texture, what I have to do is actually I have to click on the texture here. And now I can paint with that texture. Don't worry if you go out of the lines, that's okay. Because we can always go back and click on the previous one here and kind of paint this stuff out. So I'm going to sit here and paint this for a second. I'm going to kind of go down the sides there because I want to. All right, I'm going to up my opacity because I want this fairly quick to happen. And yeah, there we go. So, oops, it doesn't matter that I'm going up too far. It's okay. We'll clean it up. All right, so we'll come back and mess with that. Again, remember, Shift will get you. Will kind of give you a speed boost. So I'm painting that in there. All right, so I've got that in there. Now I'm going to bring in another one. So edit textures, add texture. This time I am going to bring in the mountain texture. This one I'm going to leave alone because it's kind of perfect for what I want. So I'm going to go here and kind of paint on these mountains. The happy little mountains, right? Right there, paint that. Paint this side of it. And this is up to you. This is kind of an artistic thing going here, so. So around here on this side, and I'm going to paint this up. It's not perfect, but it's pretty nice on what it does. Of course, we can go in here to the trench and paint that as well. Yes, I am a terrible artist, just so you know. So we got that. I'm going to go over here and paint this end. So I've got that. Maybe I should kind of paint this here, I guess. That's not bad. Happy little rocks. All right, so I've got that, and I'm going to add another one here, because why not? So add texture. We're going to bring in the grass. So I think this one needs to go down to 3 as well. On the size. So add. Now I'm gonna add a little bit of grass texture. Oh, I'm still painting in the rock there, so I'm gonna add a little grass texture on top. Maybe a little bit there. Maybe do a little bit of grass there. Okay, maybe hold on, let me undo that. My opacity is a little high. I want it kind of be smooth a little bit there. Close enough. Some grass in that. A little there, maybe a patch there. Happy little patch there. So we've got that, and you can add grass anywhere you want. It's up to you on that. So that's pretty cool, right? So we hit play on this. We can actually see all this stuff here. Yeah, I know it looks terrible. And we can go back here and adjust this. So let me reduce my brush size a little bit more. And I'm going to paint some more kind of rock back here. Okay. There we go. That's not so bad. All right. I don't think we can paint real time, but let's look. So one of the things that we can do is we can actually separate these off if I want. Let's see, is that the one we're messing with? Yeah, actually we can paint real time. I've never tried that before, so that's pretty cool. Cool. Okay, now we want to put that back. We just drag that right there. Cool. All right, let me clean that up just a little bit. All right, add a little grass in there. All right, so we've got that. That's pretty cool, right? So we've got all that going on. We could do more, but I'm going to save you from the pain of watching that. All right, so that's kind of basic movement on there. We're going to come back and do some more with this. But let's go ahead and take a break. This has been kind of going for a while, so we'll be back and we'll add some more to this and we'll make it even cooler looking. All right, see you in a few minutes.